response, whether it is negative or positive. Confidence, self-doubt, to have ideas, to have an independence, to have a capacity, to have creativity, to have emotions, interest, joy, surprise, sadness, anger, disgust, contempt, self-hostility, fear, shame, shyness, and guilt. To have a sense of free choice. Everything we believe and feel is an illusion of free choice. Life is predetermined. To understand one's predetermined life, we have to look at and understand one's origin and the characters around one's individual observation and their events.
The frontal lobes are important to have our own unique way of movement and are effectively conveying language and also allowing us to manage higher level of the primary decision-making functions, which refer to a collection of processes which involve abilities in which include one's mind to have the capacity to plan, organize, initiate, self-monitor and control one's responses in order to achieve a goal. The frontal lobes are located directly behind the forehead. The frontal lobes are the largest lobes in the human brain, and they are as well the most common area of injury in traumatic brain injuries. The frontal lobes are also our way we have the ability to control our behavior and emotion, which makes up our personality. Another part of the frontal lobes called Broca's area, in which is also known as the motor speech area, which involves our speech production and is located in the inferior frontal gyrus. Motor speech of Broca's area is responsible for our thought processes to have a freestyle way of thinking, to also switch off and on what thoughts we freely expel, and I believe plays a part in what we may dream while sleeping, and creative way of thinking, in which during damage can affect thought processes but not motor functions, which are movement, swallowing, breathing or seeing, in which are wired functions not found in the motor speech area, or also known as Broca's area. A French man, Paul Pierce Broca, born 28th of June 1824 and died 9th of July 1880, living to the age of 86, dying from a hemorrhagic stroke, in which is where a artery bleeds in the brain. Paul Pierce Broca lived a life as an anatomist. In 1861, Paul Pierce Broca observed the post-mortem brains of two patients who died lost their ability to speak. He noticed that a specific area of the left frontal lobe was damaged. This led him to conclude that the area was needed for speech production. More recent researchers have found that Broca's area is also involved in aspects of the speech comprehension and gestures associated with speech. Recent studies also shows that the frontal lobes are linked with theory of mind, our ability to attribute mental states, belief and attitudes to ourselves and others. Only humans and a few species of great apes seem to possess theory of mind, and in humans this begins to develop around age. Neuroimaging studies show that a part of the left frontal lobe is activated when participants consider the thoughts and feelings of characters in a narrative. Another study suggests that the right frontal lobe is particularly critical, especially in interpreting social situations, but some of the most fascinating frontal lobe research comes from studies that frontal lobotomy, which involves cutting the connections between the PFC and the rest of the brain, was introduced in 1935 despite the early lessons from Piner's Cage on the dangers of frontal lobe damage. The procedure was incredibly popular in the 1940s and 1950s and became a standard treatment for psychiatric disorders. In fact, the 1949 Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded to Agus Moniz for developing the first standard lobotomy.